About to start this broadcast. Everybody, tune in about 8 seconds. We're gonna go live. I want to play a video to get the crowd warmed up, and then I'm gonna bring Leslé in. Stay tuned.
You cannot be what you want to be on the sidelines.
Fear will stagnate you, period. Just get out of your own way and keep pushing.
I'm Malik.
And I'm April.
Welcome to Malik Books. Malik Books was something that I think can serve not only my family and me, but also the community, because I want to make a difference and a change in the community by using books, because books change me for the better.
Malik Books give voice to the voiceless.
My grandma walked the streets night and day. When I went to USC, that was the only money I had once a month. She sent me by selling sweet potato pies and KDDs.
Every time I would see her or talk to her, even on the phone, I would cry. It's just words of wisdom that comes out.
She has so many kids that love her because she just had a soul that was so loving. That kind of gave birth to the Crusader Praise Scott Scholarship Fund. I was a sprinter, so I've had junior Olympic champions. I've set national records in track and field. I also was a former Olympian in 1984. Whether it was track, whether it was Malik Books, they all kind of coincide with each other. I just love helping people. We're an African-American independent bookstore that we carry a very large, diverse, and cultural children's book selection, because here at Malik, we believe children are 100% of our future.
We know that the self-esteem grows from here, not here, and that's very important.
You can find a whole different world in books. Today, there's not that many bookstores. So people thank us for being an independent bookstore in the community and taking a chance. Well, the Crusader Praise Scholarship Fund has given over, in the last 5 years, 18 scholarships to freshmen entering college. And the purpose of the scholarship fund is just to help serve those in need. Malik Books is just an extension of our community. What brings me joy is to see someone feel joy from the work that we're doing.
Gotta go to malikbooks.com. That's how you see it, IG fan. Oh, here we go. Hey. Our wonderful, warm guest is just entered our virtual room. Let's give a warm, resounding applause for Leslé Honoré. All right.
Thank you so much for having me.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
Can you hear me, Leslé?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Make sure I can hear you. Right now I can't. Let me see if I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now I can hear you.
Wonderful. And Mr. Malik, if we're going to be best friends, you have got to say my name right. So it's Leslé Honoré, not Leslé. I'm going to be looking for who's Leslé, because I don't know a Leslé.
Yeah, that's a different person.
That's a different person. That's right.
Yeah. So tell me again how to pronounce your name correctly.
So it's Leslé Honoré, like Frito-Lay or Hip Hop Hooray or
Frito. Leslé Honoré.
Perfect. That's absolutely perfect.
Leslé Honoré. Wonderful. Well, it's an honor. It's an honor, Leslé Honoré, to finally meet you. Author, poet, activist. I'm sure mama, other titles.
Yes. Yes.
Hey, I should have led with mama. Why? Because that's a full-time career. Right there by itself.
It is. No matter how old they get, it's a full-time job.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Well, I appreciate you taking some time out and to honor Malik Books with your presence. I do people tuning in to know something about you. I think you've been out in the community doing wonderful readings and poetry and activism and all the wonderful things in your art. What, about 20 years now?
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay,
sir.
Okay. I know a little bit about yourself, a Chicago-based Black and Mexican poet.
That's me.
Spoke at TED conferences, mother of three. powerful writer, powerful poet, speak on a lot of social issues throughout your career. Been very, very involved in the cultural movement, and is very active and engaging. So I know your poems have, over the years, have went viral. You talk on some of the most hot and top, topics of the day, and you're able to make your poems very viral because they're very relevant and timely. And that takes an art and a skill. Everybody can't do that, So, but you know yourself more than anybody. So let's how you say it again?
Leslé.
Yes, Leslé Honoré. Let us hear something about yourself. Let us tell us about you. Introduce yourself to us.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. So I am here in Chicago. I've been living in Chicago for about 22 years, but I actually was born and grew up in Los Angeles. So grew up in Gardena, went to high school in Florence. My family is still there. My mother and brother and sister-in-law and niece and nephew still live in Gardena, in the same house I was born and raised in. So it's awesome to be able to speak with you and have a little bit of home while I'm here in the Midwest. So I've been writing all my life. I don't remember a time where that's my book. Yeah, that's my book, Fist and Fire, which was self-published in December of 2017. The cover work is done by my best friend, David Anthony Geary, who is a renowned artist. He's also locally based here in Chicago, but we met in New Orleans at Xavier University, which I attended and studied English literature with a minor in Spanish. So I'm so happy to be able to be at this point in my writing career where I'm having conversations about my writing and being able to read, because it's been a long journey. And I hope that if there's anyone listening who is in their 30s and 40s and haven't quite had that breakthrough that they wanted, that they thought should have happened, many years ago, it's coming. It's still there. Keep working on your craft, keep putting it out, keep doing it, because it's important for you to do it. I think I'm a testament to how it will happen when it's supposed to. And I'm just so blessed and lucky that it's happening now and able to talk to you about it.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I see you very involved in your culture, and that's important. Identity is everything. How we connect is everything. Mm-hmm. And, I myself, people say, man, it look like you from the Caribbean. I get that all the time. Well, that's because my father, he was born in Puerto Rico. So, we all have, variations of a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but we are who we say we are at the end of the day. And so we need to connect with our culture. So I love that. I love that, because identity and purpose and identifying who and what you are, that's very important. And so thank you again for sharing. You're a native to Los Angeles.
I am a proud native.
I didn't know that. And I think that so many people are from Los Angeles that have migrated all over this country. I'm from the East Coast, so I came here. So now I feel like I'm a native to California now, because I've been out here for so long, and so do you draw your inspiration out there in Chicago, or did your inspiration come from Los Angeles as a poet, as an author?
I think my inspiration comes from life. So it's not specific to where I live unless I'm writing about something that's happening here. So a lot of my inspiration for the things that I write about currently come from current events, whether they're happening nationally or globally or locally. It's really about what's going on. So I like to say my version of poetry is like live tweeting. I try to write about what's happening and what we all seem to be caring about or interested in, or grieving or being angry about or mourning as it's happening. So I'm being as authentic as I can about what I feel, and just sharing that. And I'm always so grateful when people that I've never met and people that I do know say that I've said what was in their heart, or they feel connected to it, or I'm expressing what they couldn't express or what they didn't know how to express. So my inspiration is varied. I just try to remain open, and I try to be respectful that when the inspiration comes, I take a pause and I record it. I write it down, even if it's just a line or two. But I try to really respect when that inspiration comes, that I don't lose it, and just kind of flow with it as much as possible.
Yeah. Have you ever gotten writer's block, or what they call poetry block?
I don't, not in the truest sense where I wanted to write something and I didn't. For about 11 years, in the early 2000s, I was married, and it was a marriage that, unfortunately, my ex-husband was, he was violent. And I like to talk about surviving a marriage with domestic violence, and being on the other side of it, and redefining myself. But for maybe a decade in that marriage, I had stopped writing, and I just really focused on protecting my children, and trying to find some place to protect my sanity. So that was really a self-inflicted stepping away from writing and stepping away from expressing myself. And I think because I had so much pain to express, I didn't want to tap into that. I felt like if I started to dig into that I wouldn't be able to stop it all coming out, just like, rush. So I didn't write. And it wasn't until after that marriage ended that I started to go out to poetry spots again and just listen, and slowly started to write. But I've been fortunate in the sense that I've never experienced a writer's block like that, something that I didn't do to myself on purpose.
Do you write from your not just I mean, you said earlier you write from current events and things that are relevant, but do you write also your poetry from past experiences?
Absolutely. In my book, I write about family. I write about love, lost, found again. I definitely I write about everything. It's the same way a musician plays music, and wherever it comes from, that's just where it comes from. So yes, there's a funny thing that says don't judge a poet because they'll write about you. Well, it's don't know a poet because they'll write about you. Nothing is uncharted territory. I'll write about it all.
Write about it all. Well, that's what make it authentic. That's what people can connect, because a lot of things that we happen in our lives, are transcendent. It happens to a lot of women, it happens to a lot of men. And so when you write about your experiences, you can connect. You can connect. And so I noticed, tell us, how did you come up with your first book is Fist and Fight?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So,
yes.
How much time did it take you to come up with the name of your title of your book?
The title came really quickly. I think, unlike a novel, a poetry anthology happens over time. So you don't really sit down and say, I'm going to dedicate 2 or 3 months to writing this book. A poetry anthology comes together naturally with work that you're continuing to produce. And so then you have to sit down and figure out how it all comes together and tells a story like that. So that the actual book probably was the better part of a year's worth of writing. The title, I really wanted it to have some alliteration. I like the feel of having letters repeat themselves. And Fist and Fire just came really quickly, and it seemed like a really good way to talk about what was in the book, that it was about revolution. It was about wanting better. It was about the fight of brown and Black people for equity. And then it's also about love and what that looks like and how it really, comes and it encompasses all of you and what it feels like when it kind of goes into the embers. So I'm really proud of the title. Thank you for asking about it.
Yeah, titles are important because I consider, it's like a name, like Leslé, right? That's important. They get it right. And so when you come up with a title of a book, you want it to be just as important because it's part of you.
That's right.
And you're trying to convey something very, very sacred to an audience. And so, and it can be challenging to come up with the right title because, and so I was very curious how you came up with Fist and Fire. I think it's very, very impactful. The title is very, it's packed with a lot in those two words. I mean, fire, fist and fight. So, I mean, your subtitle is Poems that Inspire Action and Unite Passion. And so, and when I was taking a look at the book, I had a feel that it was written in two parts. One part being fist and one part being fight. Can you share your thoughts on how that came about?
Yeah, so when we were editing and really deciding how to group the poems, it was really clear that the more powerful poems about what we were experiencing during the summer of 2016 as brown and Black people losing Trayvon and Tamir and Eric Brown and Sandra Bland, and the constant fear and having to deal with everything that you deal with in this country when you're not white. Fist came together really easily. And as did Fire. So Fire is about one particular relationship. So anything that I wrote about that relationship kind of went into the Fire section. And then there's a bonus section, lagniappe. So my father is from New Orleans, and lagniappe is the word used in New Orleans culture often to describe a little something extra, something unexpected, a little bonus. And the lagniappe section, which is really the third section of the book, are more introspective and personal thoughts that are more specific to myself, that we wanted to include in the book as well.
Well, that sounds amazing. Just how you structured the book into the way it came out, and it does come across in these kind of sections. They're powerful, and so the first part, like you said, was fist, and so I'm assuming that's the action part of the book, and then the other part, which is fire, is the passion part of the book. That's and we know that emotions are very driven and they're very passionate. Are you a very passionate woman?
Absolutely. I love hard.
Yes. And so I get that in your poetry, that you can really feel your passion. You can really feel your heart and your love. And I think that's important because you having these feelings and you want the reader to feel what you feel. And that takes an art, and that takes a skill to put that in words. That's a challenge in itself. And so have you had in your performance people cry?
Absolutely. I look forward to that. That's how I know I'm making an impact. Absolutely. I want you to feel what I'm writing. I feel like a failure if someone hasn't cried at a reading.
Yes. So poetry is such an art form. Why does poetry matter?
I think poetry matters because it does what the news can't. It does what nonfiction can't. It takes all the other stuff away and just talks about how we feel. And I think that's why poetry has endured as an art form for so long, because we have all these different ways of expressing life that are often very much directly related to productivity or money or wealth, or, you know, often our emotions aren't allowed to have a space to really say, this is what happened, but this is what I felt about it. This is how it changed me. And that's what poetry is able to do. It's able to record our sorrow and our celebrations, our hope, our histories in a way that really connects to our hearts and our souls, and that thread of humanity that we all have.
You know, I remember I was a kid and I was in school and this song came out. Now I'm sure it was other songs that came out, but the one I remember was Rapper's Delight. You know, that was in the 70s.
Yes.
And it you know, it took the radio by storm. The youth loved it. People, you know, raved about it. But the industry said, "Oh, it'll die off. Oh, rap, it's just a fad. Oh, you know, it's just a one-off. You know." And here we, all these years later, it's the #1 art form. You know,
Poetry.
poetry. You know, they used to say that Muhammad Ali was one of the first rappers.
He was one of the first to use rap and poetry to describe himself, to talk about himself in the third person, to envision his successes, and it's how he charmed each and every one of us, and still does long after his transition into the next realm. So, absolutely.
Yeah, you know, Malik Brooks being in the book business and being around books since 1990, and you know, I've got a chance to read a lot of different variety of books, and so in ancient times, the #1 form of art was poetry. People would gather around, and that was the #1 form of entertainment in the ancient days. That blew me away when I was coming across literatures, you know, talking about that. And then you know, rewind back. Think about it. We grew up, you know, whether you grew up going to church or hearing your grandmother talk about God or your family, all the words are poetic. You know, I guess you could say, like, if you had to write 1,000 years of history, what would be the best way to convey your message? Should you just write a textbook?
No one wants to memorize a textbook, but we throughout history have remembered poems. So it's how we tell our stories, it's how we remember them, and we pass them on.
Mm-hmm. So tell us some of your stories. Tell us some of your poems. Share with us some of your art.
Absolutely. So I will share a couple of pieces tonight. The first piece I'm going to read from Fist and Fire. It's called Backpacks. And Backpacks was written in 2016. It was one of my, I think maybe the second poem I had that went viral. And it was really the first time I started having conversations with white women and white mothers on social media, and had them reach out and say, I didn't know, and your poem helped change my point of view on something. So I'm going to read Backpacks now. When Black boys are born, we mothers kiss their faces, twirl our fingers in their curls, put them in carriers on our chest, show them to the world, our tiny Black princes. And when they start school as early as 3, we mothers place huge backpacks on their backs, and we slowly fill them with bricks, etched with tools, tattooed with truths, hoping to save them. Don't talk back. Don't get angry. Say yes, ma'am. Say no, sir. Don't fight, even if they hit you first, especially if they are white. Do your best, better than best. Be still, Work hardest, brick. They get a little older and we add more. Keep your hands out of your pockets. Don't look them in the eye. Don't challenge. Don't put your manhood before your life. Just get home safe. Don't walk alone. Don't walk with too many boys. Don't walk towards police. Don't buy candy or iced tea. Don't put your hood up. I'll drive you. I'll pick you up. You can't be free. Don't go wandering. Come home to me, brick. They get a little older and we add more. Understand you are a threat. Standing still, breathing. Your degrees are not a shield. Your job is not a shield. Your salary makes you a target. Your car makes you a target. Your nice house in a nice neighborhood makes you a target. Don't put your ego before your safety. Don't talk back. Don't look them in the eye. Get home to your wife, your son, brick. They weigh them down, this knowing of having to carry the load of their blackness. The world hasn't changed. The straps just dig deeper until their skin, their backs ache, but their souls don't break. Are beautiful Black men. So when you say to me, all lives matter, I simply ask, will your son die with a knee on his neck? Mine have.
Wow. That was beautiful.
Thank
That was,
you.
that was beautiful. That definitely touched the soul. You spoke to the very heart of that whole issue. I mean, I'm speechless, to be honest. Words have such a unique effect. That was amazing, man.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, man. Thank you for gifting that to the world. Wow. You know, when did you discover you had this gift?
I don't remember not writing. I had some really great teachers in my life who, you know, would pull me aside and say, you can really write. This is what you should really do. Literature and stories were always something we shared in my family. My father was a writer and a musician, and he actually self-published his first book when he was 78. It was a year before he passed away. And so it was such a gift, not just to have that part of him, but to push forward, you know, me and doing this myself. It was, you know, not just my dream, but definitely a continuation of his legacy. So it's just something that I've always done. I don't remember not
doing it.
I don't. It's always been there. It's always how I've expressed myself.
So you knew how to take advantage of your me time when you was a child. You was writing.
But I spent a lot of time alone. I went to an all-Black elementary school from kindergarten through 8th grade, and I was the only girl who was mixed. I was the only girl who did not have two Black parents, and it was at a time in the 80s and the early 90s we didn't have you know, a way to discuss that. We didn't have biracial. We didn't have multiple boxes to check on census or applications, and so I got bullied a lot. And I would just go into books and read, and that's how I would escape. And somehow along the way, I thought, hey, I can write my own story too. I don't just have to read other people's stories. I can make up my own. And so I did a lot of that. And then poetry was just something that I gravitated to. It was so freeing, and there were less rules. And it didn't have to be a certain way or a certain length, that I could really just do it however I wanted to. And that's what stuck.
You know, sometimes when we're young, and because it sounds like you discovered this gift within yourself, and your parents helped kind of, you know, bring it to fruition, kind of help you nourish it, since they were readers and writers, I think you said. And so, because sometimes, you know, like me, when I was growing up, I discovered I had a gift, and I was running. I was fast, man. I was a sprinter, man. You know, that's why. And I was like, man, I'm finna I'm gonna sprint myself to a scholarship one day. So, and actually that happened too. So I ended up with a scholarship to USC, all the way from Maryland. So, but I was a kid when I had that vision, when I had that dream. I didn't have a parent that would, that knew I had this gift in that way, that would nourish me in that way. I stumbled on my gift, as many people do.
Yes.
Some of us don't have parents or guardians to guide us or teachers to guide us. We sometimes discover these things on our own, in our own way. I discovered mine in my own way. And I'm thankful that I had the fortitude and determination over the years to stick to it, because things come your way. Like you said, when you at a point in your life, you stop writing because certain situations change. And that's what happens to a lot of us. And so I was fortunate to be able to parlay that into a scholarship and stay the course. And so, with your art, I feel a sense that you want to inspire the youth, inspire the next generation, inspire, to rise up and to be, and to take, these words of inspiration, of motivation, of guidance within your poems, and to help them to transcend.
Absolutely.
How do you do that with your words? What's your technique?
Not just but adults, all people. I hope that we all come to the point in our lives when we realize that we are more than just souls that have to work a 9-to-5 and pay bills and die one day. That each one of us has our own way of expression, our own talent. And it's aside from everything else that we are taught that we have to do. And for some people, it's cooking or baking or makeup or hair or jewelry or fashion or electronics or coding. All of us have something that is just our own. And we don't always have families that bring it out of us. Sometimes our families don't have the means to do that. They don't have the money to get an instrument or to get classes. And so sometimes it goes dormant, but that doesn't mean it's gone. It's still there. And I hope that everybody can try and set aside some time in their life to discover what that is if they don't already know, or just to nurture that part of them. Because it's how our soul talks. It is our purpose is different than our productivity. What we are here to share and what we are here to leave behind is different than our earning. It's different than our children. It's different than the people we love. It's what I believe we come to earth with. And we see beautiful examples of it all the time. And I think when we see people who are hurt and angry and don't know how to connect to other people, it's because they haven't connected to that part of themselves. So I hope to inspire by action. I hope to inspire by, letting, especially Black and brown women who have endured, a lot, that there is another side, that there is the other side of the trauma of living through domestic violence and domestic abuse. There's another side of being a mother, that you don't have to completely surrender the wholeness of yourself to that role. You were a person before them, during them, and after them. I hope that that's what people can pull away from my story. That they don't have to be a poet, but they can. They don't have to share it with the world. They can write it to themselves. Or they can, look and seek out the things that bring them joy that they may not have been encouraged to or have not been able to find the time to, that they try to really tune into that and honor and respect that part of themselves as well.
Wonderful. Now, I see here you wrote a poem on Kamala Harris. It went viral?
It went mega viral.
Mega. That's big. That's on a whole nother, I'm on a new level. Yeah.
It very much was on a new level. And so the Brown Girl poem originally was not about Vice President Kamala Harris. it's originally in my book, Fist and Fire. I think it's on page 217. And it was a book that was just a poem that was just written about my daughters and their friends and the brown girls that live inside the women I know. And when we knew that she had secured enough votes and that it was finally called, my girlfriends were texting me, and I was in the car with my oldest daughter, Sage, and she said, just pull over, you want to write about it. Because often that's what happens. If I hear about something, if it comes on the radio, if it comes in my head, wherever I'm at, I'll stop. If I'm in the car, I'll pull over, or I'll try to do it at a red light really quickly. And so I was trying to think about how I wanted to commemorate that moment. And the Brown Girl poem just kept creeping in my mind. And so I made some changes to it and posted it. And it went big. And I think within not even a whole day, NPR was running a story that a principal in Brooklyn was using the poem as words of affirmation for her students. And the kids were chanting it. And I freaked out. I was like, oh my God, NPR, just tag me. That's my poem. I'm just so excited. Please, please, please. That's my poem that they're reading. And then my very, very good friend, Jessica Gillespie, who's also my PR person, she was on it because it just kept growing. And so she was able to contact all these news outlets that were running the story but weren't acknowledging me. And she was able to send them information. And then so I think Politico ran a story on it, and it finally included like my picture and a picture of my book and a link to the post. And then Good Morning America picked it up, and it just it was really, really magical. I never thought that that poem would be the thing that pushed me into a new arena. But that's exactly what it did. Because of Brown Girl, I landed a literary agent, which I never thought me in my 40s would get. And so I'm represented by Johanna Castillo, who's with Writers House, which is one of the oldest and most renowned agencies for writers. They represent Martin Luther King's estate and Octavia Butler's estate. And then in the same week, I had some of the largest names in publishing like in my inbox: Random House, Simon & Schuster, Hachette, Little Brown. They were asking me, did I want to make Brown Girl into a children's book? And I'm like, I will make whatever you want me to make into a book. Absolutely. So it happened really, really fast, and it's been a dream. And I have lots of friends who are writers, and I know how lucky and blessed I am. I know this is not how it happens for a lot of people. So I'm extremely grateful at how all of it has come together, and grateful for the poem, and grateful for the moments that have happened because of it. So I'll read Brown Girl for everybody, if that's okay.
Please do.
Brown girl, what do you see? I see a vice president that looks like me. Brown girl, what do you do? I fought, I hoped, I spoke what was true. Brown girl, what do you know? That there are strong women who want me to grow. Brown girl, what do you feel? That Black girl magic will help us all heal. Brown girl, what do you see? A world that sees my skin before it sees me. Brown girl, what you gonna do? March, fight, and create until I make this world new. Brown girl, how are you so strong? 'Cause I got queens in my blood to help push me along.
Woo!
Fall 2022, you'll have Brown Girl as a children's book illustrated by the magnificent Cosby Cabrera in your hands that you can have in your bookstore. And I hope that people will buy it for the brown girls and brown boys in their lives and buy for themselves. And then soon after Brown Girl, Brown Boy will be a children's book as well. So
Hey.
I'm excited to be able to
I love it. I love it.
do what I love.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I think that, that was amazing. I'm looking forward to Brown Girl, and that was just it was meant to be. Nothing happens for like luck like that. Nothing happens coincidental like that. Time and space, it came together at the right moment, and it was meant to be. And that's a blessing, and you deserve every minute of it. And we gonna celebrate that brown girl when it come out. 2022, right?
I've learned to try and not be impatient because things happen the way they should, but boy, I cannot wait. I'm counting down the months and the weeks and the days until I have it in my hands.
Well, we look forward to it, and we're gonna do this again. When Brown Girl come out, you're probably gonna be doing a national tour, so we're gonna have to have you land right here at Malik.
I would love that. I would love that to be there live and person at home and reading.
Yeah, so hey, I appreciate you taking the time out and sharing with Malik Books and family and everyone else around the world your beautiful poems and your lovely insight to your whole career. We just thankful that you was able to just share that with us. We appreciate you and much success. We're looking forward to it. We're going to be doing this again. Thank you. Leslé, right?
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome, welcome. Have a good night, peace, and blessings.
You do the same. Take care.
Bye-bye. For everyone, that concludes our production today, our talk and book discussion with Leslé Honoré. And so we're going to end this on a high note. And so malikbooks.com is the website. You can watch it again. It's on YouTube. You also can buy some books at malikbooks.com, or come on to Malik Books at the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Mall, or Malik Books at the Westfield Cold City Mall. Thank you for everyone who tuned in. God bless. Peace.